In Olympia, demanding health care and unemployment benefits for undocumented migrants. And new legislation could help make that a reality. We'll hear from lawmakers and advocates. And we got rain and snow across the state heading our way. And if you're heading over to the west side, you may want to prepare for extra travel time or a plan B. As for road crews, they're preparing the passes now. We'll have that story and more coming up as you start your day with us right here on Action News. Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And Jefferson, I feel like that precipitation's already well underway here in the lower elevations. It was been kind of rainy, drizzly. I know in some of those spots, it's slick ice out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see some freezing rain overnight. The hope yesterday was that we would scour out the cold temperatures before the precipitation arrived, but that unfortunately didn't happen. So we did end up with some pockets of freezing rain during your overnight hours, and some of that activity is still continuing this morning. So as you are starting off your day, be mindful of those slick roadways out there. Now, you just mentioned the lower elevation areas. We teased the mountain passes. The mountain passes are already getting hit by some pretty heavy snowfall this morning, and the mountain passes, they're going to be pretty snowy throughout the weekend. There will be a window of opportunity this afternoon where the snow won't be too bad, but really throughout the weekend we are going to be talking about some heavy snowfall. So we'll get on to all of that later in the show, but right now in the Tri-Cities it is 32 degrees. Again, temperatures at freezing this morning. We have seen some of that precipitation. Roadways are pretty slick out there as you start this Friday. Now, as we look at our weather headlines today, morning ice will just turn to regular afternoon rainfall. There's going to be some isolated shower activity this weekend, although precipitation for Saturday and Sunday in general is not too intimidating. And then heavy mountain snow is on top of mind as well. We'll talk more about all three of these weather headlines coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in the capital city. Hundreds of people marched yesterday and then rallied on the steps of the state capitol to demand health care and unemployment benefits for undocumented immigrants. New legislation aims to accomplish both. Many held signs and chanted as they marched, calling for a better safety network for immigrants who are working but lack the proper documentation to be in the Evergreen State. Leaders have limited say over federal immigration enforcement, but are advocating for two bills in the current legislative session to help workers collect unemployment insurance and have access to health care. Senator Rebecca Saldana is reintroducing a bill that would set aside state money for workers who lose their jobs but don't qualify for standard unemployment insurance because of their immigration status.
No matter what your status is, you deserve to be able, when you lose your job for no fault of your own, to be able to have a wage replacement, to be able to support your communities.
I feel enraged that immigrants are being hunted down and dehumanized. Enraged that my hometown is paralyzed with fear, that children are not going to school for fear that ICE will show up.
Now, the other piece of legislation would provide equal access to health care for all low-income Washingtonians, regardless of whether they are in the country legally or not. And we recently spoke with Yakima County Commissioner Kyle Curtis and asked about what would happen if ICE agents were active in Yakima. He said that in Washington, local and county police are not allowed to take part in ICE raids as it would violate state law.
And it's called the Keep Washington Working Act that I think the legislature did in 2019, maybe 2020. But yeah, it basically means that anytime federal agents, of course, come into our community, there's not much that local authorities do. But as far as the way the jail participates, the jail doesn't participate, frankly, on releasing the identities of individuals who are and are not undocumented. That's not something we're able to participate in.
Now, he also told us what to do if you are unsure if a police officer is with ICE.
So as a citizen, you have the right for any time a law enforcement approaches your vehicle or your persons, you can ask for clarification, who are you, and they're supposed to disclose to you. You are correct that a lot of the time ICE or EOC, those will typically be unmarked vehicles, but if it's a sheriff vehicle, it's going to clearly say sheriff. It's a Yakima police officer, it's going to clearly say Yakima Police Department. Not very many unmarked vehicles that are out there.
Now, at the moment, there has been no reported ICE activity within the city of Yakima. Heritage University is hosting a public seminar with two immigration lawyers to educate the public on immigration rights. KIMA's John Franklin tells us more.
There's so many rumors going on that we would like as a university to provide what is accurate, what is legal, so people know their rights in whatever circumstances they find themselves.
Heritage University is in an area where immigration status from person to person can vary greatly, and they want to make sure that people can be prepared for any scenario regarding Homeland Security or ICE.
Well, Heritage University is an institution where a large number of our students are of Latino descent, and many of them come from families that we call them mixed families, where they may be members of the family that have been born in the United States, they're citizens, but within that family, that household, there are also people that are currently undocumented.
Some of the students at Heritage University are not U.S. citizens.
We also have students that have been or are right now in the status known as DACA, and which allowed them to study and work, but is not a regular situation in terms of permanent residency.
Heritage University does not ask potential students for their immigration status during the application process.
However, if people are applying for financial aid, they need to qualify for financial aid according to the regulations for those funds. So if it's federal financial aid, such as a Pell Grant or student loan, those are restricted to people that are either citizens or permanent residents of the United States, and they need to show that in the financial aid office.
For Action News, I'm John Franklin.
KIMA's John Franklin, thank you. And you can find information regarding the seminars, which will be held on Zoom or on our website. We also asked Heritage University if Heritage University has a plan in case ICE does come to campus.
We do have a plan. Our plan is that we want to function within the law. So everybody at the university has been informed that if ICE or Homeland Security shows on campus, they need to state why they're here for, and if they're looking for someone specific or or any type of situation, they must have a judicial warrant for a particular area of the university. And if there is a judicial warrant, we will follow it.
Now, if they do not have a warrant, Sun says that Heritage will use their rights as a private institution to request one and will not allow access until one is provided. Switching gears this morning, after almost 36 years, a well-known City of Pasco firefighter is retiring. Ben Shearer has worked for the city since 1989, responding to thousands of calls for service throughout his career. Shearer says before becoming a firefighter, he originally wanted to be a teacher, and for the last 8 years, that's exactly what he's done. As a community risk reduction manager, he's visited local schools, installed thousands of smoke alarms for folks, and hosted hundreds of community events.
My family asked why I wanted to do this, and I said, if nothing else, when I grow old, I'll have stories to share. So I've got a lot of years of experiences now behind me. I've got lots of stories to share now. Working with the firefighters here over the last 35 years, it's like a second family. I already missed that part of it.
Shearer's final shift is today. He will officially sign off from dispatch for the last time. He says he plans to stay active in the community. And folks looking to head to and from the west side this weekend may want to have a backup plan in place, with estimates as much as 3 feet of snow to fall on the Washington Cascades. According to the National Weather Service, leaders with the Washington State Department of Transportation say road work is underway to assist past travelers.
Right now, crews are in the process of pre-treating the roads. That's putting chemicals down that reduce the significant snow and ice from accumulating. So that helps drivers out. If you're uncomfortable traveling over the mountain pass during a snowstorm, considering waiting the storm out or finding alternate forms of transportation to get over.
Now, WashDOT leaders also say if you embark on the passes this weekend, make sure you have chains, good tire tread, and double check the pass conditions before you head out. And with that, Jefferson, let's jump right over to weather here, because I remember yesterday you mentioned also accumulation into the feet range. So what are we dealing with? It's obviously the main chunk of the snow is going to be in the upper elevations, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And we are going to be primarily looking at our Cascades. For the Blues, we will see some snowfall, but the Cascades are where we are going to be looking at the worst travel hazards this weekend. We are seeing snow falling this morning. This afternoon, there is going to be a window of opportunity to cross the Cascades. The snow levels rise to around 4,500 to 5,000 feet. So over White Pass, you might keep seeing snowfall, but if you're trying to go over Snoqualmie Pass, I would say from about 1 p.m. to about 6 p.m. today, you might have a window of opportunity. But from this evening really through the day tomorrow, that snow is going to be falling fast and heavy. We will talk about specific snow amounts. We will also talk about what you can expect for lower elevations coming up.